So wow, what a way to start off 2022 with a big Cyberpunk leak. Check it out right here. Here's the headline. It says, Cyberpunk leak claims update will be soft relaunch with new title. And there's a lot of big promises in this leak. Now, with that being said, keep your hype levels in check as I go through these features that supposedly will be added to the game in 2022. So keep your expectations very low, because also CD Projekt RED themselves officially replied about this leak. And they said this, that it doesn't add up. And this is officially from CD Projekt RED Public Relations. So we'll dive into exactly what they had to say. So we'll dive into the leak and then get into what they had to say and a bunch of other stuff. So let's do this. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here, hope you're doing good. And once again, we are back in Night City talking about Cyberpunk 2077, which, by the way, today, CD Projekt RED is celebrating big time because of this. It says, we couldn't have asked for a better start to 2022. Thank you for voting Cyberpunk the winner in the Outstanding Story-Rich Game category heart icon. So yeah, that's huge for Cyberpunk, of course, and a lot of people agree that Cyberpunk has really good story, great narrative, especially when it comes to a lot of the side activities in the game. But let's get into the leak. This is the source right here. It says Cyberpunk DLC, big patch, anime, leaks, and more. Yes, we're even going to be talking about that upcoming Netflix anime series, which I'm super hyped for. I've actually been watching, by the way, The Witcher Season 2 with my girlfriend, and we are honestly absolutely loving it so far. But anyway, let's get into the leak one by one, shall we? Here it is. It says, the first feature says Cyberpunk Next Gen Patch 1.5 will be treated as a soft relaunch for the game. Game will be renamed Cyberpunk Samurai Edition. Now, this would be really, really cool if this actually came true, because I do think they need to treat it as kind of like a soft relaunch with the game, and they need to go all in with patch 1.5 alongside the next gen update. They have their hands full for sure with a lot of stuff that's going on for Cyberpunk in 2022. It says this right here, CD Projekt RED will do a big live stream around February to reveal the patch, the Cyberpunk anime, and the first expansion. So could this one be true right here? Yeah, of course. Anyone could guess that they would be doing a live stream around a big patch release. They've done that in the past, and in fact, it hasn't gone well for them in the past. So they may actually honestly skip this altogether. They may just have a VOD ready for us on YouTube and maybe just stream that to Twitch and not do exactly a live stream, just to play it safe, of course. Honestly, that's what I'm expecting, considering how some live streams have gone for CD Projekt RED, but we'll see what happens. Now it says this, new patch features barbershops, a garage, improved AI, transmog system, a complete rebalancing of the loot system, and new UI. Now, what CD Projekt RED has said previously is that they are very interested in going into the core mechanics of the game and doing something with that. That's all they basically said. So it would be cool to see them rework all of these systems. That's a lot to ask for in the time period, from the last update that we have gotten from Cyberpunk. I know that sounds a bit extreme for me saying that, but I've covered games before and I know how long this stuff takes for them to develop, especially when it comes to this one right here. It says this, the promised free DLC will be bundled in and includes 4 new weapons, new game plus, apartment customization, and new gigs. Now, 4 new weapons would be really, really cool. But once again, I've covered games like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and that sort of thing. And after their horrible launch, it took them forever to even get into a position to make new weapons. However, the case could be with Cyberpunk. Perhaps they already had some weapons work in progress and they were just finishing them up, and then they could add them into the game and we could be seeing them alongside patch 1.5 and the next gen update here early 2022. So yeah, realistically, a lot of these features would be separated in my mind between the big next gen update patch 1.5 and then the big expansions. Maybe stuff sprinkled throughout. That's my assessment of what they possibly would do with the release plan and release schedule, because I don't think that they want absolute nothingness between update 1.5, the next gen update, and then the expansion. I'm pretty sure they would want to sprinkle some free DLC throughout the entire year of 2022 to at least draw some interest back into Cyberpunk until the expansion. That's my guess. I'm just guessing. Now it says this, tons of small stuff like Judy and Panem sending you more text messages during the course of the game. This one kind of made me laugh because some people might not want to be bothered. You know, that was one of the issues with the game. Some people felt like there were way too much text messages going off in the first place, too much notification. So that one makes me scratch my head a little bit, unless it leads us to, of course, some brand new missions. Then that makes sense, but that's not how it was worded at all. So that one is a bit strange to me. Now it says this, first expansion takes place in Pacifica, which is actually quite huge. You walk around and do quests with what is called the combat zone. We already know all this about the combat zone. This was also in a previous rumor anyway, so I do expect something like this to pan out actually, for them to explore a little bit more of Pacifica, because it is kind of an underwhelming area in terms of the, you know, development features. So yeah, that would be really, really cool. I would love that. Furthermore, it says this, the combat zone is being fought over by two new gangs, the Bozos, violent clown psychopaths with a sick sense of humor, and a gang called Slaughterhouse, violent psychopath fascists. Walking around the combat zone feels very inspired by the game Stalker, so there could be some, I don't know, survival elements that they could be adding into the game. It would be cool to see the survival mode, but to me, that's a stretch. We'll see what happens, because they may actually want to keep with the current factions and just flesh those factions out. That could also be an assessment that they take. But yeah, having new factions roll into Night City would also be interesting. Perhaps Splinter factions could come into play and cause a war. You never know. Now it says this, Cyberpunk will get its own Gwent-like minigame that involves going to cyberspace and controlling and collecting monsters, which you can send to JRPG-like battles. Also has multiplayer. One of the monsters looks like the Reaper. Another one I saw looks like an Oni. Now this one's a big stretch, because saying that multiplayer would be included into the game anytime soon is a huge stretch. This would be long-term stuff for Cyberpunk when it comes to anything related to online activities, because they have said that first and foremost they want to get the game into shape and then look to online stuff. But I'm curious, is this something that you guys would like to see in the game? I know for a fact a lot of you guys want to see more mini games, that sort of interaction in the game like we saw with Witcher 3. So it would make sense that they might want to actually explore that area of the game and perhaps make a fully fleshed out version of that mini game like they did with Gwent. So yeah, that could actually make sense for them, because they've already done it with The Witcher. Maybe they want to repeat it. Now it says this, a cyberpunk anime called Cyberpunk Edgerunners is made by Studio Trigger, with writing and story made by CD Projekt RED themselves. It looks absolutely insane. Beautiful 2D animation that reminds me of Akira. Another expansion is in early stages of planning, but will only be released if this first expansion is a success. So a lot of stuff going on here. Edgerunner does look really, really cool. I'm super hyped for it, considering the success that they've had with the Witcher franchise, and we've seen a lot of cool stuff with kind of like anime-inspired type Netflix series, particularly Arcane. So hopefully I could pull off like an Arcane type Netflix series where people are really, really talking about it, because that could actually drive people to Cyberpunk 2077. Now, it did say this right here. It says it looks absolutely insane. But I go on to say this. Another expansion is in early stages of planning, but it will only be released if the first expansion is a success. I believe they've already confirmed that they are going to be doing 2 expansions. Going back on their word to me makes absolutely no sense. I think they're going to have to do 2 expansions. So that rumor right there seems off. Once again, that just seems off to me. It just puts this leak into territory where it's false. That's my opinion. Now, mentioning that, check this out right here. We have Paul Tassi, who says Cyberpunk 1.5 patch and first DLC info reportedly leaks via, and then of course we have Forbes. Then we have a reply from CD Projekt RED. This is the PR guy from CD Projekt RED. He goes on to say, this thing does not add up. Sorry, Paul. So he's basically saying, don't trust the leaks. He could also be trying to throw us off. But, you know, CD Projekt RED probably hasn't even finalized exactly what they're doing for content release schedule in 2022. They're probably asking themselves, do we release every feature all at once around update 1.5 in the next gen? What do we need to sprinkle throughout 2022 up until the expansion? So I think that sort of talk is going on right now. And then they're hit with this leak and they're like, oh my God. you know, it probably throws everything off for them, and they're dealing with that right now. Now, it's time to get into some reactions from you all, the community, about this leak. We have this one right here. A large part of this potential leak was rumored before. Judy and Pan Am new messages, 1.5 soft relaunch, first expansion in Pacifica, Combat Zone, Clown Gang, the Reaper monster were all rumored before, so it's either just gathered info from previous rumors with some additional thing added by the author or a real leak. And yeah, it just feels familiar to me. And there's some things in there that makes me scratch my head and question the leak altogether. Then we have LeBron says, sounds too good to be true. And it shouldn't be, though. You know, a lot of these features, in my opinion, should be able to make it into the game, just my opinion, by the end of 2022. I hope they can pull it off. A lot of those features, when we talk about apartments, garage, customization, all that stuff, I'm hoping is actually released early 2022. That's my hope, and then some things will be sprinkled throughout 2022, like the free weapons. So that's my speculation. That's how I think they're going to handle it. But also, I think you guys know what time it is. It is time to get into your top comments about my previous Cyberpunk video. So if you want to check that out, check out the channel, leave a comment. I always love reading your comments. You never know, it could end up right here in a future video. So let's see what you guys had to say about this one right here. It says, Cyberpunk just did the impossible. Plus devs get roasted by Sonic, all new updates. Let's see what you guys had to say about this one. Yeah, the roast by the official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter was absolutely hilarious in my opinion. So entertaining. If you missed it, check out my previous video. But let's see how you guys reacted to this one. We have Optic Gamer who says this. For me, it's not the bugs or glitches, it's what's not included in the game, like vehicle customization, buying houses, upgrading them, better NPC AI, better police system, new game plus, more bikes, cars, homes for purchases. Other than that, Cyberpunk was fun, just wish there was more to do. And a lot of games suffer from this. It just kills me. The one game that always gets me is Mafia 2. I know that it was a great story-driven experience, but they had this massive, beautiful, gorgeous open world. You could hardly do anything in it. Then they remastered it and did nothing to add to the actual gameplay loop in the open world. That was like double hurt, you know, so that was a bummer. But anyway, we have Adam who says this. To be honest, I didn't quit playing because of issues. Surprisingly, I never really had any issues. I played on my Series X and the game ran just fine and looked incredible. I quit after about 10 hours because I knew there was going to be a bunch of patches and I didn't want to push the story, because if I did, then I knew I wouldn't play it. Read more. Again, no matter what the patches did. I'm the type of player who is done with the game once I see all the story has to offer, so I avoid pushing the story until the game forced me to. I mainly quit because of the dead world and retarded AI, hoping they would be addressed in patches, but clearly that doesn't look like it's ever going to happen, so I doubt I will ever go back to this game. So he has more of a dark take on the situation for sure. Let me know if you guys agree here with Adam. Then we have Meatwad who says this. What's really contradictory with what CD Projekt RED's director said is that they promised a bounty system, but for some reason it wasn't implemented. Then they said, oh, a police chase is absolutely strenuous on our engine. That just makes me think they'll never make this game as good as we all hoped, since in order to replace the procedural generation engine, the game will have to be recreated from the foundation, and I seriously doubt that CD Projekt RED will do it pro bono. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I hear ya. So I think a lot of those things might be reworked through the expansion, maybe. I don't know. You know, they would have to build the technology for the expansions, but all this stuff is just crazy to me to think that there's technical limitations. I mean, there's games that are a decade old that are pushing really, really good police systems. The one game, again, that I always go back to, you guys have heard me mention it time and time again, is The Godfather. It has the most insane, fully fleshed out, I guess you'd say, police bounty system I've ever really seen in an open world game. And I still go back to the game, I'm like, man, is anyone ever going to match this? How is no one matching this by now? I don't get it. But yeah, there it is, guys. The latest happens around Cyberpunk 2077. Remember, any leaks, rumors, things like that, take with a grain of salt. At least we got like official word from CD Projekt RED in their statement about what's going on. But I really do hope a lot of those leaks do actually come true throughout the course of 2022. Will they immediately all come true in early 2022? That's a big stretch. Again, CD Projekt RED has a lot on their plate. They're doing 3 different things. Update 1.5, the next gen update, and then planning the big expansion. So that's a lot that they're already dealing with. So we'll see. That's all I have to say. We'll see. Hopefully it all works out in 2022. But the end of 2022 is going to be interesting for Cyberpunk, I think. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.